Welcome, friends. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of our Mindful Nature. So, this month, we are going to be exploring how we weave mindfulness or heartfulness into our days. So, how do we take it off of the cushion for that 10-minute practice or 20-minute practice? And how do we use it, carry it, connect with it as we go through whatever the day has in store for us? In today's episode, we're really looking at a morning practice. So, what do we do first thing in the morning, not just to wake up, but to touch into the gifts of the day, to connect to the feeling of gratitude, and then to name for ourselves the intention, the energy that we want to carry as we move through the day. So, we're going to talk about the cycle of reciprocity from Robin Wall Kimmerer. We're going to talk about what a morning meditation practice looks like, even if you're not a morning meditator. We're going to talk about why consistency matters way more than duration. And then, of course, we're going to share in a guided practice together at the end that you can use every morning, all year long, to connect to yourself, to set intention, and to help us move through the day feeling a little steadier, maybe a little more grounded, a little less overwhelmed. I hope you enjoy it. Welcome. You are listening to Our Mindful Nature, a podcast helping healers and those searching for healing respond to burnout, overwhelm, and depression with nature-based meditations for better mental health. I'm your host and meditation teacher, Meryl Arnett. If you would like to access these meditations as standalone audio files for your daily use, please subscribe to my newsletter at merylarnett.com. It's free, and you get a new mini meditation each week. All right, y'all, grab your headphones, get a cup of tea, and find a comfy seat. Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad to get to practice with you guys. I have to say, taking a couple weeks off, it always sounds like it's going to be very short, and it always feels very long. So I'm always really glad to get back into our routine, get back into practicing. And I have been thinking a little bit about what is going to be most useful for us as we journey through the year. And we had spent the last couple classes talking about heartfulness, if you remember, which I love. And I'm really bringing into my own personal intentions for 2025 is holding on to that phrase heartfulness as a balance to mindfulness. And as I thought about, well, what else brings balance to the practice? I was struck with a very vivid memory of being in a class with my meditation teacher. And we did this like really lovely, sort of deeper practice. And afterwards, we're all sort of sharing about it and talking about how deep it was and how insightful. And she's smiling and nodding. And then she sort of looks all of us in the eye and she goes, well, how are you going to hold on to that when you leave this room? And it was a little bit of a moment for me when she asked that question, because it sort of took something that I think maybe we like innately know and brought it to the forefront of like, actually, we should be very consciously aware of it, which is that our practice, these minutes that we spend together on the cushion, are of tremendous benefit to our well-being, right? These minutes that we spend on the cushion are moments where we have an opportunity to see what's really happening inside for ourselves in this moment. It is opportunity for us to practice choosing a response to what's happening inside for us in the moment. And there's like a little bit of a unspoken belief, I think, that I'm going to do this practice here on a cushion. I'm going to get good at seeing what's going on inside or hearing the voices, the way that I talk to myself. I'm going to get good at getting comfortable with discomfort, perhaps. And then I'm going to get off the cushion and I'm going to rush into my day, however that day unfolds for me. And I'm going to expect my practice to help me get through it in a better way, right? I expect my practice to help me feel better in my day, which I think is fair. It's reasonable. Certainly, all the media around meditation encourages us to assume that our practice is going to help us feel better during the day. But it's not as often that we say in class, in practice, or to ourselves, what am I doing to carry the practice through my day? What am I doing to maintain the awareness, the feeling, the intentions that I create in my meditation practice? What am I doing to carry that through my day or weave it through my day? Because it's not just 10 minutes that's going to magically solve our worry or help us respond to our overwhelm or our fear or our depression or our you fill in the blank, right? 10 minutes, 20 minutes, it's not enough. But the skill, the neural pathways that we're creating in those 10 to 20 minutes, they're just asking for us to pull them forward so that when we uncross our legs and stand up off the cushion, we're still awake. And we walk down the hallway and we step into the kitchen, or we get behind the wheel of the car, or we open up the laptop to check email, and we're still awake. We're still mindful. And so, what I want us to do in the next couple classes is I want us to look at short, simple ways to continually touch our meditation practice through the day so that we're continually reminding ourselves, our bodies, our hearts, stay awake, stay mindful, remember the intention. Yeah. I started the class by saying one of my intentions for 2025 is like to hold on to heartfulness. And it would be really easy for me to just say that and then like never mention it again for the rest of 2025. I already taught 3 classes on it. Probably not going to teach about it again. So like, what if I just never say the word heartfulness again? It takes that continual weaving of intention for me to remember that I want to pay attention to that, right? So we're going to start at the beginning. We're going to start with the first practice of the day. Okay, our morning meditation practice. And I know not everybody practices first thing in the morning. I know not everybody is a morning person, and it is okay if that is you, right? That's totally okay. I will say that my hope for all of us is that your longest meditation practice of the day happens first thing in the morning. That's my hope. It doesn't have to happen, but it's my hope for you. I know I see some frowny faces. It's okay. You don't have to make my hopes come true. I'll be able to handle it, I promise. However, first thing in the morning, our mind is at its quietest, right? We ideally are practicing before we have looked at a phone or any type of screen. We haven't scrolled. We don't know what's going to happen later in the day. We wake up, we go to the bathroom. Maybe we have a set. Rainey says, I can't remember anything before coffee. Right. I have 3 sips of my coffee and then I set it down. I close my eyes and I do it just enough to know that I'm going to stay awake. Because if I don't have those 3 sips, I'm just going to go back to sleep. Let's be clear. So I have 3 sips of coffee, sit down and do your practice. And how long your practice is, I don't care. I don't care. Today, we're going to do 20 minutes together because that's the time we set aside to practice together, right? But in the morning, if you have 3 minutes, do 3 minutes. If you have 10, do 10. If you have 20, do 20, right? It's not the duration that matters. as much as the consistency. Consistency. And my feeling is if we want our days to feel peaceful or connected or easy or joyful, whatever that word is for you, like, this is how I want my day to feel. If that's what we want, we have to take enough time to name it and connect to that before we let the day run away with us, right? It's so easy. It's so easy to let the day just take all of our power, essentially, right? And you're like, you wake up and, you hit the coffee pot on the side of the counter and it shatters. And you're like, well, today is ruined, right? And then the clothes we were going to wear aren't clean and somebody is sick and there's nothing to eat for breakfast. We could just let the day happen like that. Or we take a moment before any of that to sit down and name for ourselves, how do I want to feel today? How do I want to engage with the day today? And when I think about a morning meditation practice, one of the things that comes to mind for me is the cycle of reciprocity that Robin Wall Kimmerer writes about in her book, Braiding Sweetgrass. And so if you want to just like imagine in your mind's eye a circle, at the top of that circle is the word attention, attention, right? And you move a little bit down the circle about to 3 o'clock or so, and the word is gift, gift. And you move down the circle to 6 o'clock, and the word is gratitude. And from 6, you move to 9, and the word is reciprocity. So that cycle is attention, gifts, gratitude, reciprocity. And for me, when I think about engaging with my day, I think it's really interesting for us to reflect on rather than just allowing the day to be what it is and do what it does, and essentially allowing the energy of all the other people in our lives dictate how we're going to feel. What if we claim our own relationship with how the day is going to feel? And that relationship has to be reciprocal, right? We don't get to dictate the day, but we can enter into a relationship, a give and a take with the day. And so when we think about what our morning practice looks like, it starts with attention, which is every practice always. We must start with paying attention to the moment. What's happening? How do I feel? Let me feel my breath. And from that place of sort of centered attention, you're going to take a moment to let your mind wander over what are the gifts of the day? What are the gifts of the day that I'm aware of in this moment? And we're talking about first thing in the morning. And a gift could be the smell of coffee. A gift could be that you are inside a place that feels warm when it is cold outside, or the feel of a blanket on your lap, or the presence of a pet or a person, a loved one nearby. A gift could be a dream that you had that you remember and feels interesting or insightful to you. A gift could be the moon if it's still out or the sun if it's rising, right? You can pick for yourself what comes up for you when you think, what are the gifts of the day? And as you take just a few breaths with each of the ones that arise for you, the innate response is like, we don't even have to try for gratitude. The innate response is a little bit of that joyful, like, Thank you. I'm so grateful that I'm taking time to notice this, or that I have time to sip this coffee before running into my day, or that the heat is working, right? So we experience a little bit of gratitude. And then we name very consciously, like talk to yourself, name, how do I want to feel today? Or how do I want to engage with today? Right? So if heartfulness is going to be our example, that I would say to myself, I want to remember heartfulness today. I want to respond with heartfulness today. Maybe it's patience. Maybe it's wisdom. I don't know. You can pick. But we name for ourselves, set that intention for yourself. This is how I'm going to engage with today. If asking for support or blessing from your practice, from your ancestors, from spirit feels right for you, you can weave that in at that moment. And it's then that we let go of the practice and we get up and we move into our day. And as I mentioned, you and I are going to do this for about 20 minutes in a moment, but you could do that in literally 2 minutes if you want. Feel your breath, pay attention, name the gifts you're aware of, let yourself feel a bit of gratitude for it, and then name how you'd like to engage with the day. Set that intention for yourself. And I think what's really important in this is the active naming, right? So I'm actively going to name those gifts. I want to say them to myself so that I really take time to notice them. And I want to actively name my intention for the day, right? And anybody who's ever done like a check-in circle anywhere knows that good is not the answer and fine is not the answer. You're not allowed to say, I want to feel good today. It's not specific enough, right? So what do you really want to feel? Do I want to feel awake? Do I want to feel kind? Do I want to feel connected? Like give yourself something that feels very specific that you're going to remember, so that as we continue this series through the month, we'll figure out, how do I carry that through lunch and through dinner, through the whole day? Yeah. I want to say one more thing before we practice. I've been listening to this interview from an author who wrote this book called The Light Eaters. The Light Eaters. It's about plants. And the interview is really good so far. I'm not all the way through it. It's really good. And she starts out by explaining that she is or was a climate science journalist. And as you might imagine, incredibly burned out. Just completely, the way she describes it was her response to that day in, day out, repetitive bad news. Nothing changes. Everything's bad. Climate disaster, climate crisis. Her response to that was like a sort of detached numbing, right? But we all know that as we do that, it also detaches and numbs us from any sense of joy or pleasure or engagement in our lives, much less our work. And so she names this for herself. I'm burnt out. This is detached and numb, and this is not working for me. And is looking to write about something a little different, but still in her wheelhouse. And at the time, a study had, or an article had just been released that they had just mapped the first genome of a fern. And she's like, well, that's kind of cool. I'll write a story about that. So she calls up a fern botanist who loves ferns, like radiates joy and enthusiasm and excitement over what they are discovering with this fern genome. And he's like at a botanist conference and he calls his buddies in, and there's like 6 fern botanists on this conference call with this journalist, radiating joy about ferns. And she was like, it was very infectious. And I start to kind of get hyped and into ferns and plants. And she describes that she starts to really see the plants in her life, right? The plants along the sidewalk, the plants in the backyard, the plants that are all around us that we are blind to for the most part. And the more she sees them and engages with them, the more this sort of enlivens her. I mean, you can hear it in the title of her book, The Light Eaters. Like, what an incredible description of plants, right? And so that story, as I'm listening to it, I'm like, cycle of reciprocity right there, right? Especially the gift gratitude piece. She sees these plants, she's paying attention, right? She starts to see the plants in her life, these gifts, and naming them is like, this is a cool thing. It's not just grass under my feet. And because she's really noticing the gift element, that gratitude sort of innately rises up, that sense of enlivening the moment for her. It's like awe, right? And then the way that she's engaging with her day changes. And so that's what we're doing with our practice in the morning. Yeah. So why don't we try this practice together? Sound okay? Take a moment to get comfortable. Feel free to sit back against a wall, to lie back. You can cross your legs or not. You can let your hands rest or not. You can close your eyes or not. Your choice. Make yourself completely comfortable. Settling into your favorite spot and your favorite position. Inviting your shoulders to roll back and down. Your jaw to relax a bit. And together as a group here, we'll take a deep breath in. And we'll exhale out a sigh. And let's just do that once more. Inhaling deeply. Exhaling out a sigh. And allowing your breath just to flow. And silently to yourself, you say, now is my time to meditate. Now is my time to meditate. And as you say those words to yourself, I hope you feel a little bit of joy, a little bit of opening up or receptivity to whatever it is that unfolds today. We take time here to soften any tension in the body, to relax any gripping in the feet, the calves, the thighs. Relaxing across your hips. Letting go of all the muscles in the belly. Softening across the heart. Allowing the shoulders to melt back and down. Again, letting go of your jaw. The inside of the cheeks, the tongue. Softening the skin around the eyes and across your forehead. And then taking a moment with that internal gaze to just zoom out a bit. Take in the entirety of your body seated here right now. And simply notice how it feels to breathe. Allowing a moment or two to simply savor the way you expand as you breathe in. The way you settle as you breathe out. And with no agenda, with no need to change anything at all. Simply pay attention to your breathing. Feel the inhales in. Feel the exhales out. And anything else that makes itself known. Thoughts, stories, plans. Sounds, distractions, whatever else shows up. You simply notice it. We can let it be right here, part of this moment. And we feel our breath in. And we feel our breath out. And without any need to rush or hurry this process, give yourself a few minutes just to connect with the gifts of the day. For the gifts that make themselves known to you right now. Might be things in your specific environment right now. might be gifts from the natural world around you, or from the natural world that you're hearing. Without any sense of struggle or force. We take time to breathe. And when a gift makes itself known to you, take a moment to see it, to feel it, to engage your senses with it. And see if you can feel that innate sense of gratitude. That sense of joyful thanksgiving that arises in this moment. Let's spend about 5 minutes here in silence together. Engaging with the gifts and really lingering in the gratitude. Feeling your breath here. Lingering in that sense of gratitude. And then naming for yourself how you'd like to feel or how you would like to engage with your day. And we let that intention settle. Settle into our breath, into our bodies. And maybe repeating that intention to ourselves as you start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Repeating that intention to yourself as you perhaps sit up a bit straighter, roll your shoulders back, deepen your breath a bit here. Repeating that intention to yourself as you breathe in deeply and you release a soft sigh. Taking all the time you need to let go of your practice, to open your eyes if they were closed. And as you think about releasing the practice and moving into the rest of your day, see if you can carry that intention with you. Thank you, guys. Thanks for listening to Our Mindful Nature. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider sharing it with a friend or leaving me a review wherever you get your podcasts. It helps others to find the show, and let's face it, we could all use a few more meditators in our lives. Our Mindful Nature is recorded on Muskogee land and produced with the support of Brianna Nielsen. Deep gratitude is offered to acoustic ecologists Gordon Hempton and Nick McMahan for the use of their nature field recordings in many of these episodes. To join my live classes, ask questions, or learn about my teacher trainings, please visit merylarnett.com. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next week.